Hello, this is Demetrius Wilson with Chapter 15. We are almost there. The end of the class is 16th chapter, so you're right there, and I'm sure you can see the finish line. I'm sure you're happy about that. It goes by very quickly for me, but I know from the student perspective, sometimes it can be long and tedious. This will be a really short lecture. Just wanted to, kind of check in and say hi, and also give you some tips that I think will help you on your quiz as well as your discussion question for this week. We're dealing with small businesses and, even some cases, mid to large businesses. And you have to know and understand how to make decisions and what's like your criteria to make those decisions. When do I want to go global, or do I even want to go global? And like I think I mentioned in another class, this is a place in Orange County, best Chicago deep dish pizza, Tony's Little Italy, and they don't have multiple locations. And I'm sure it's because they're like, hey, this is a recipe. This is the father, and he's making these masterpieces, and he doesn't want to send somebody else out to do it, whether it's a relative or not. And they're always busy, they're always packed, and that's just kind of how it works. Now you take that in, direct correlation to something like a Pizza Hut or McDonald's. They're just as packed, right? Definitely if you're talking about taste buds, probably not as good, but it's something that they're able to replicate, and that's good. And I think that's one of the biggest things what makes McDonald's so great is they're able to replicate it. Like, so when you come in and you go to manager you for McDonald's, they'll tell you like, hey, we need you to be able to do everything, right? And you may wonder why, that they need you to learn how to cook the fries and mop the floor and everything like that, because what if, John Smith says, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and walks off, right? You might be the fry cook for the day, or you have to teach and train someone else how to do so. This is very interesting. You have to this is just kind of to help you guys know and understand that you have to know like what your specific criteria is when you're making these decisions. So although small businesses make up a disproportionately large share of the number of companies that export and import, this represents only about 1% of the total number of small businesses, right? So that means there's just so many small businesses that there's a lot more opportunity out there, even though they're overwhelmingly, very significant in the export import business. So many small businesses have yet to compete globally, but they do have the opportunity to do so, and that's just kind of like what we want to discuss here in this chapter, because the opportunities are definitely there. Small businesses are very active in the global marketplace, and small business success in international markets is extremely important to the welfare of the United States. Even those that don't consider themselves participating in the global market, they really are, because they're creating things, someone's buying them locally, putting them together, and then selling them internationally. It makes them think like, hey, well, what should I be doing to grow my business, and should my business go globally as well? And although it is true that small businesses are major users of imported goods, right? So you need certain things, you import them wherever you need them from. The focus of the chapter is on small business exporting, because we want to get your exports up to get the money coming in, right? The imports, like you're getting things, you're paying for those, right? Exports, we want them going out, so the money's coming to you. Because exporting can be an effective way also to diversify the customer base, manage market fluctuations, to grow, of course, most importantly, and become more competitive. These are just a few reasons, and you guys will read them in the chapter on why to go global, and then we'll also, talk about some reasons why people don't go global. And there's no right or wrong to this; it's specific to you as a business and as a person. So why go global? Small business that thinks and sells only domestically may be reaching only a small share of its potential customers, because 95% of the world's consumers live outside the United States, right? 95%. So that means you're only eating 5% of the pie, and you're leaving the rest of the 95% right there on the table. Exporting enables companies to diversify their portfolios and weather changes in the domestic economy, right? So may not be going great domestically, but internationally they're going great. It helps you to balance things off, and vice versa as well. And this stabilizes seasonal and cyclical market fluctuations. Different weather patterns, different types of things. If I'm selling coats in the United States, it might be, a little bit different temperature in Eastern Europe at the time. So now I have money coming in all throughout the year, right? Exporting helps small businesses grow and become more competitive in their markets, which reduces the dependence on existing markets. You always want new and emerging markets. Exporting increases sales and profits, also extending the sales potential of existing products, right? Because now your reach is somewhere else, and now you can sell additional products globally as well. Research has shown that exporting can expand total sales 0.6% to 1.3% faster than otherwise. So any type of increase or gain like that, companies are definitely going to be interested in that. Exporting companies are able to sell excess production capacity. You could sell 1,000 phones in the United States, and you can sell the other 500 that you can't get off in the United States in Asia. Exporting companies are able to sell excess. Exporting companies are nearly 8.5% less likely to go out of business, right? So if you've taken those steps to go globally and you're starting to export and bring some additional funds in, it's a lot less likely that you're going to go out of business, in direct relation to otherwise. There are higher worker earnings as well, which contributes to the betterment of the community, right? You work at this company, you're getting paid more, company's growing, things are going well. And then, I won't say the negative side, but these are reasons why companies and people say, I don't want to go global. Some people say, I do not have goods and services that are exportable, right? That's reasonable. I don't know much about it, and I'm not sure where to start, right? They're just confused as to where to start. They just need a little hand holding there. I would worry too much about getting paid. A lot of people don't have enough receivables in terms of their cash to float that amount that you've sent out $100,000 worth of product and you're going to wait for it, but do you have the money to operate during that time frame? It's too costly, and it would take too much of my time for my regular domestic sales. I mean, that's always potential, but that means you might need to bring somebody else in to help and assist. And I can't obtain financing to offer products or services to foreign customers, right? Because it can be a financial undertaking as well that you'll have to deal with. So you have to think these things all the way through. And I mean, that's totally legitimate to kind of go through a checklist and kind of figure out those different things. So there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages throughout the text that I want you to look at in terms of exporting and as well as importing. But like I said, mostly the focus is going to be on exporting and the reasons why you would or wouldn't do it. And like I said, there's not a wrong answer. It's just an answer that's specific to you. Now, we may disagree with your answer because we may say, hey, there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity out there for you to export your goods. But ultimately it's that person's choice. So make sure that you read the chapter thoroughly. Some great things in there. This is just a short lecture, so if you're hearing this right now, you've already gone through this. There are 3 supplemental videos that I want you to review, and then after you review the supplemental video about going global, I have a discussion question in there that I want you guys to answer because I want to get your take. And again, it's your opinion. You don't have to look at other people's posts and say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it this way because they did it," or "I'm gonna do it this way because Demetrius says, hey, it sounds better this way." I want your actual thought process. Like, we should all be somewhat aligned in our criteria for what we're doing and moving forward, whether it be going global, exporting, importing, or any other things that you do in your business. If you're consistent with your structure and your criteria and like your check down list, you'll make good decisions. So we can have the same check down list, but we can sometimes come up with a different. We can land on a different decision. I may say yay, you may say nay, and that's like I said, that's okay. That's why we're having a discussion. Maybe I'll have something to lend to your discussion to sway you a different way, something that you haven't thought about, and maybe something that you say will be something that makes me scratch my head and say, hey, that's a very valid point. So it's chapter 15. Like I said, you're almost to the finish line, so hang in there, and let's finish this semester strong. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.